Hi guys! Today I'm going to show you how I built this Pokemon monitor. After doing some research, I discovered that on PokémonCenter.com, most products sell out within minutes of launch. Today I'm going to show you how to build a Pokemon monitor using Python, AI, and Cursor. In this video, I will quickly walk you through how everything works so you can create your own monitor. Okay, so this is basically what my monitor looks like when it's running. It sits on the page and refreshes the page. It checks for a product I'm interested in continuously. It gets me the name of the product, the sold out status, the price, and the URL here. It also tells me in the end if everything's sold out, it summarizes it by just printing out sold out, so I don't have to read every single product status. When it does find a product that is available, it will send me an email to notify me, which I can then decide if I want to purchase or not. It creates this log that tells me how long the software has been running. For example, my monitor on this run, it's been going on for 11 hours and everything has been sold out. It also gives me some additional details about my current progress. It can be run headlessly, but right now I am having a browser so you can see what's going on here. It's controlling this page, sitting here scraping information and refresh the page every over a minute or so. And I also have it set to filter for product that I might be targeting. And you can set this to whatever items that you might be interested in. By the end of this, you should be able to build a Pokemon product monitor that avoids getting hCaptcha and blocking. And you should be able to filter for product you care about and receive an email notification the moment a product becomes available. So here are the 4 steps I use to build my monitor. I'm going to quickly walk you through them. The first step is to build a simple working solution. So in these steps, I'm not too worried about automation. What I try to do is to find out what works and what doesn't. So for me, I'll do a lot of things manually. This allowed me to run tons of tests very quickly. And I try to keep the script as simple and reliable as possible so I can quickly make adjustments. The second step here is I will start the automation, but I usually start with the hardest steps that I think is less likely to work with automation. In case that you realize there needs to be some change of methods, you can still go back to your step 1 and quickly modify things since your software is still very short. And once you have a working solution with the key step automated, the rest of them is just to fill in the support functions such as error handlings, logins, sending emails to yourself. This step is usually very easy and very straightforward. For scaling, my initial goal was to run the software for 10 to 15 minutes while I'm watching here, and I might encounter some pop-ups or advertisement or something that I didn't encounter before. By solving those, I can push the running time to a couple of hours, and from that point, I continue to do the same thing. So I will send myself an email if an error happens, I'll come back, fix, improve, and then push for longer and longer time. For this specific project, I'm hoping it will run for more than 24 hours, so maybe a couple of days without any of my assistance. Obviously, you can continue to push for longer and longer of runtime as you scaled. I try to keep in mind of the 80-20 principle, because the longer you want it to run, the less brittle the software must be. That means more effort is required. For example, if you want it to run for much longer, you might want to set it on a server and figure out how you will handle website updates and things like that. You can stop at any point where you feel like you are getting a satisfactory results for you. First thing I try to do is to test out different browsers I can use to access PokémonCenter.com. I have the agent create a very simple script using Selenium browser, and I should be denied access. A lot of the time with Selenium browsers, most of the website recognize it as automation work. They always block Selenium browsers nowadays. I'm getting a error 15 here, access denied, and then I can try to create a short script using undetected Chrome and see if I can ask the website with undetected Chrome. And I am getting hCaptcha, which is much better than getting completely blocked. Let's see if we solve the CAPTCHA, we can access the website. Okay, so we can access the website, and you do see this pop up here saying something has gone wrong. So this is maybe not the ideal browser. However, it is better than earlier. Keep in mind, whenever you go to these websites, since a lot of these information is dynamically loaded in the background, this technically doesn't really prevent you from scraping. So this pop-up is not so much of a problem. What I want to show you is how I use an agent to generate short scripts that I can run repetitively to test out different setups. The goal here is to find the right combos between browsers, proxies, VPN, and cookies to access the website. For browsers, in my case, I ended up using a modified Chrome browsers. And for proxies, I found that proxy and VPNs do have an effect, especially when running tests over long periods of time, but they don't make a big differences in the short term. What turns out to be the most important factor on this website by far was the cookies. Cookies are a small piece of data that website stores in your browser to remember who you are. They use to track sessions, login states, and behaviors over time. Even if you change your IP address using proxies or VPN, the website can still recognize you if your cookie stays the same. So right here, I have the Walmart website opened. If you go to storage and click cookies, you can see what Walmart has stored on this browser just by visiting the main page. All those cookies are what the website used to track you. Whether the browser is automated or used by a real person, websites rely on cookies to identify return users and build session histories. When a browser has no cookies, it often signals non-human behaviors, which increases the likelihood for bot detections. Many websites rely on a probabilistic score-based bot detection system rather than a hard block. So during testing, repeated access can result in intermittent blocking rather than a consistent denial. In our case, we often need to access the same website many times. You might get blocked 1 out of 10 times or 7 out of 10 times, and that is a key point. hCaptcha or any type of CAPTCHAs are often triggered when your score drops below a threshold. So things that can decrease your score, including IP address being used to access the same site repetitively, or having repetitive behaviors and lack of cookies. Improving your human score is usually more effective than solving CAPTCHAs directly. Because of that, you shouldn't rush to solve hCaptcha when you see one. Instead, focus on increasing your human score first so you can avoid any unnecessary work. What I would do to further develop my working solution is that I'll open up a browser automatically. Then instead of going directly to Pokémon Center, I will actually go to some other websites. I will manually click some website, hang out for a few seconds, click around. I like to go to YouTube and Walmart because these two are pretty commonly visited sites, and I essentially click around for a few seconds, then I search Pokémon Center. Now I'm trying to access the Pokémon Center website with cookies in the browser. I'm no longer getting hCaptchas, and this is great news. Now I have a working solution. There are 2 key steps for us to automate here. The first one is to be able to access the website. The second one is to be able to get information from the website. So now that we can access the website, what we want to do is to be able to get information from the website. First thing I do is to right-click inspect on the product and kind of look around at the HTML. Our goal is to get the product's name, the sold out status, and the price, and maybe the URL as well. What we want to do is to right-click inspect and look at this HTML here. We're looking for an element that includes all of the information for one product on the page. So this one will only include a picture. You can see as I highlight on this element, only the picture gets highlighted. And if you go up a little bit, it's the same. And if you go up here, that it includes all of the information. Here is the sold out status. And let's see if it includes the price. And here is the price. And they are all inside of this element, the product box G4JMY. And I believe if you try to scrape this element, it also works. But you're basically looking for an element that includes one product and all of the information you need for that one product. Okay, I'm going to target that element. We're going to target this product box G4JMY element. Sometimes what I would do, instead of using the software to try to see if I can get the information, what I would do is I will right click, go to console, and then search directly for query selector using JavaScript to see if I can get that element. And it will test out the different things, such as seeing how many of these elements on the page is 32. And if you look here, item per page is 32. So that gives me more confidence that I'm getting all of the products on this page. I can also use JavaScript to print out its titles, and then I can see further if I can get more information, the sold out status, which is most important to me. Okay, so now we know we have a working method to get information from this website. I can simply paste this solution into AI here and have it create this really straightforward method. Right now, I'm using JavaScript. I just use JavaScript because sometimes with some of the website that's dynamically loaded with JavaScript, you might not be able to get information without using JavaScript. That's why I just started by using JavaScript to avoid any potential issues. And now I have a really short script that open up a browser using JavaScript to collect information. And when I run it, it prints out all of the titles for all of the products. There are 3 parts of this monitor. We must be able to handle the cookies. And once the cookies is created, it will be injected into our monitor's browser. Using these cookies, we should be able to access the website, and the monitor will parse the information and check if anything becomes available. And when it does, it should send us an email notification. You can also have an optional logging system. You can have the AI here quickly creates a emailed to yourself script, which is very straightforward, very short. The key thing here is you gotta have a sender email, sender password, and a recipient email. One thing to remember is the sender password is not your normal email password. It is actually an app password. To get your app password, you'll have to first enable your 2-step verification in your Google account. Then you can generate this 16-digit password for your script. I want to talk briefly about how I went from a script that can only run for 10 to 15 minutes to one that can run for days without crashing. At the beginning, I was using modified Chrome browser combined with JavaScript parsing and manual cookie injections. With this setup alone, I could reliably run for 10 to 15 minutes before hitting errors. After that, I spent quite a bit of time just letting the script run, observing failures, and slowly improving this. This part was very time consuming, so I just wanted to show you what I ended up doing, and that works for me. I expanded my cookie sets. I created a function to randomly collect cookies by visiting commonly trafficked sites. Second, I switched to a more stable proxy connections. This really smoothed out the process over a longer runtime. The last thing I do is error handling modification. I wanted to save this towards the end. During scaling, I actually prefer the script to error out loudly instead of silently recovering because it can allow me to see real failure modes instead of masking them too early. When it errors, what I initially do during this scaling process is that I will set it up to send me an email. When it errors out, I'll also screenshot the browser state. I also add an input statement or breakpoint to troubleshoot the issue, so the browser doesn't continue to move forward. I can come check if the browser is frozen, if there's loading errors, if there's advertisement or something like that. Saving these steps towards the end or using these inputs and email notification allows me to see exactly where it failed. Once the script is stable, then I will add in a more graceful recovery. But early on, I don't want the script to keep running if it's being blocked, because then it can burn your IPs, trigger more aggressive blocking, and make future testing more difficult. Finally, for hCaptcha handling, I use something a bit unconventional. I use PyAuto GUI, which is definitely not scalable, but Honestly, it's funny, so I still use this. hCaptcha allows Python to physically move your mouse to click a specific pixel on your screen. In my case, every time the website shows me a CAPTCHA, the hCaptcha pops up appear in the exact same location. So with proper cookie injection already in place, a single automated click was enough to clear the hCaptcha. Because of that, I didn't really need an external hCaptcha solving service. I just handle hCaptcha with hCaptcha. But you can use built-in click functions if you want something more reliable and less funny. So to wrap things up, these are the few things I use to have it run for 10 to 15 minutes. I added these additional features to allow it run for more than 24 hours. Okay, so this is what the final scripts looks like. We got a load cookie functions. Essentially, I'll be injecting some of the cookies that I collected manually into the browser. And then after the cookie is injected, I will also go on and collect some random cookies. I choose YouTube, Walmart, some news websites, some social media sites, and some random other websites. Then after the browser is open, it will immediately inject cookies. Then it will collect some more random cookies. Then what else I did? Okay, so I also save HTML just to troubleshoot. I take screenshot, and here's our JavaScript injection in the main script. It's essentially the same with some parsing and print statements here. So we got the product data, and then we print out the title, sold out status, price, and URL. I also added a log to tell me how much time it has been since it's running, which sets of cookie it's on, and how many loops it's been going through. And I have filtered for 2 specific categories of products that I'm targeting. Finally, this is what the main scripts looks like. So it will log the time for each set of cookies I have run for 31 loops. Each loop is about a minute, 20 seconds, so it's not exactly 31 minutes, but it lasts for roughly about 31 loops, no problem. Take screenshots if it errors out, and over here print out the information. Check if everything is sold out, and if it is not sold out, it will be tagged as available, and it will send an email to myself using the email script we created earlier. And then lastly, there's some error handlings and tells me which sets of cookies I'm on, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's running. So now it's collecting random cookies by visiting random sites. Finally, we're going to Pokémon Center. I set the page load to 96, and there are 2 page worth of products that I'm interested in. After it visits the first page, it will actually go to the second page. It has now headed to the second page. I'm going to minimize this browser to show you what it looks like on my console over here. This is where it does the click. These are the information we have obtained from the website. After sorting, these are the results I'm getting. And in the end, it's summarized as sold out. So this tells me that all of the products that I'm monitoring are currently sold out. And if there is a product that is available, it will send me an email. So at one point, I broadened my search condition and was able to detect a product drop. Unfortunately, it didn't have the item I was looking for, but I'm actually very happy about that because it confirms to me that the monitor is working exactly as intended. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe.